Question to everybody: why is it that black women are always in everyone's mouth? I'm trying to think about that. I'm trying to figure out why is it always that black women in everyone's mouth? Because there is something that this Asian woman said last week about black women, and it's clearly that's a stereotype. You can't paint something biological towards an ethnic group. Doesn't make sense. Because based on the discussion, I believe that it was something that was biological, and now they're turning it and stereotypically directing it to a given group of women, black women. Now, I want you to hear the opinion of the First Lady. Do you think that this is just something that this Asian lady said out of not knowing what she's saying? I mean, let's have an open discussion. There is this first clip. I want you to watch it and then listen to how the lady apologizes, because it's important to hear two parts of the story. Do you think that because the first person she's saying that, and I think she's a podcaster, the lady who's reacting to the video that I'm also reacting to, she says that she just said, and there's nothing problem people talking about this. Ma'am, first, this is a stereotype, and it is a stereotype directed towards a given group of women. It is time for we black people to talk positive about our black women. Buckle up for this video. I'll be back with my commentary. I hope you find it for you.
I'm gonna say something kind of wild, but it's because I saw it somewhere. But I don't know if we might have to cut it out. But anyways, someone said that the reason why some girls tighter than others is because, huh? No. It has nothing to do with that. They said that it's because ethnicity wise, like black men have, are known to have larger, so therefore the women have,
that makes sense,
bigger. And then
that doesn't make sense.
Okay, so that is the clip in question. Now, it seems like Esther had her instincts intact when she was talking about this, and she said, you know what, we may need to cut this out. They didn't end up cutting it out. It did get posted, and now it's gone viral. And you know what? I don't think this is a conversation that necessarily needs to be cut out. In listening to her, it sounded like she was just curious about this topic, wanted to bring up the conversation, had heard this bit of information somewhere, and wanted to go back and forth talking about it. I don't see anything particularly wrong with that. It didn't seem like she was making fun of black women or trying to bring them down, being derogatory in any way, shape, or form. She might have been saying an ill-informed comment, which we're going to get to in just a little bit, but I don't think there's anything wrong with having these types of conversations. And the fact that she mentions, maybe we should cut this out and just, have the conversation outside of putting it in the podcast is sort of telling. These are conversations that amongst friends, we can talk about private things. We can talk about these sorts of ideas that we may have or have heard and discuss the validity of them back and forth. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think she was trying to vocalize her disdain for black women or say that they're lesser than or make any sort of derogatory comparison between black women and other women, but it's being interpreted that way. And before we actually go into the research that I had to do in order to talk about this, which is crazy, I didn't anticipate having to look into female anatomy in this way.
So this creator crashed out because of Esther and Under the Influence podcast, and I think it's over for that podcast, because the way that people are reacting to what Esther said is actually valid. It actually makes sense why people are crashing out. This creator said that next time she sees her, it's on site, and she wasn't even playing. And am I mad because of that? No, I'm not mad. My For You page on Reels is dark humor. What she said was so out of pocket that it even passed dark humor. It was that statement she said past everything I have seen that I in my For You page that makes me go like, whoa, that's a little on the line there. It's crazy what she does, bro. or what she was able to do. She made a whole group of women mad at her. Tell me what you think about this, because what she said was...
Esther, nobody listen to your bull, okay? Number one, you guys are losing followers. You're losing money, because the more followers, the more money. You do not care about what you said. You said you took your time to apologize. It took you almost a week or two for you to apologize for the effery that you did. Girl, bye. And for the people who are trying to say, oh, forgive her, there ain't nothing wrong with that bitch. She's playing the fucking victim, talking about as she was as an Asian. Let me tell y'all something. When you do ignorant shit, remember the consequence that comes with the stuff that you do. If you knew what you said was really dead wrong and you worrying about because you're Asian, you should never said it in the first place. See, I'm a kind of person, I mind my business, because every time I do my TT news, it's always effery when you young people doing the most. And I have to say something, like, it irritates me. I really wasn't going to say nothing, because the more I say something, the more that I'm endorsing you and the more followers you're going to get. And I feel you don't even deserve that. And I feel like people shouldn't even have to tag you on this, because it's disgusting. It's really disgusting. You're not sorry. None of you guys in there are sorry for what happened. You laughed like it was a joke, and it took you guys a while for y'all to say something. So enough is enough. Us black folks ain't taking it. Us black women ain't gonna bother with it. So you could say...
So the podcast Under the Influence just came out with an apology video. If you don't know, they've been getting canceled for the last couple of weeks, which is valid. And I was a comment listener to the podcast, and I was a supporter of the people on the podcast. I started listening to them a little bit around last year because I listened to Subber Talks, and Subber Talks is a fan of them. So I thought, like, support the support. You know what I mean? And a lot of shit that has been coming up, I do not remember hearing because I used to listen to UTI only at work in my ear. So a lot of shit that they said, I probably fucking zoned out. But just all the shit that I have seen on TikTok, fucking crazy. But anyways, they came out with an apology video. I watched a part of it. My whole thing is, if y'all are truly sorry, why are y'all blocking black women on y'all social media? Because I am blocked, and what's crazy is I didn't even send hate. I just confronted as a supporter how hurt I was that y'all are blocking people and not addressing it. So it's just kind of like your whole apology is just like shit, because you're blocking people who are trying to educate you. So
okay, y'all, let's all watch this apology made by Esther from the Under the Influence podcast.
Yeah, I want to take this moment to sincerely apologize for a topic that I brought up.
Yeah,
it wasn't my view or opinion, but I understand that even bringing it up was super inappropriate and harmful.
Pause. So it wasn't her view or her opinion, but she brought it up just because and started giggling with it. Okay.
Up was super inappropriate and harmful, and I've heard so many of you guys, especially in the black community and among black women, and like, I'm just sorry for perpetuating a harmful
rather than a harmful stereotype. It is a blatant display of racism. Like, what's not clicking? Like,
I mean, we're all Asian, and we've dealt with like pretty hateful like stereotypes as well, and I should have known better because I've been hurt by those too, you know?
I get what you're saying, but right now you're basically victimizing yourself and being like, I know too, because I'm Asian. And it's true. Of course, Asians have gone through racism, stereotyping. Like, it's very true, but like, is now the time? I feel like you're more concerned about the money that's potentially, you know, drifting away rather than the sincerity of this apology.
Yeah, I don't know what to say other than that. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point here, is that like she said, we're all human.
Yes, of course. We are all humans, but we are not all racist. Okay, goodbye.
It wasn't my view or opinion, but I understand that even bringing it up was super inappropriate and harmful.
That was her view and that was her belief. There's not a time in my life at all that I have ever said anything out of my mouth that I did not trust in at all. You said that for a reason. There was not one woman of color. There wasn't a black woman in that room. and you felt in your spirit that you had to come out and say that out of nowhere. Now, when you realize it was wrong is when your own community done turned on you, and that even they're saying, hey, whoa, that wasn't right. You're that same person that says something racist, looks around the room and is like, hey, don't we all feel the same way? And everybody looked at you like, no. And then you say, we're all Asian. We all have pretty much dealt with some kind of discrimination. So you know that this is wrong, and you still decided to say it out your mouth. You stated it was a harmful stereotype, and you felt in your spirit, you felt it in your heart that you still had to come out and do this. Get this podcast out of here and don't let them come back, because that money is drying up and they got their hands out because they look like they're panhandling.
Hi, this is my first video ever that I'm posting to TikTok, so I'm a little bit nervous, but I wanted to come on here and add my 2 cents about the apology video from Under the Influence podcast show, and specifically when Esther says that her view on Black women that she voiced in that video, the original one, is not her view or her opinion. And I want to talk about that. So first, it is your view and it is your opinion, because why would you say something like that if you didn't feel some type of connection to it? Second, what needed to happen in this apology video is a discussion, a table discussion about exactly what was said, where it came from, why you felt compelled to say it, and what you can do better in the future to unlearn this opinion. And that is really what that type of conversation and video is what Black women deserved. Not what you gave was under the bare minimum. Let's just put it like that. So I just want to talk about the fact that it is a really important conversation that we need to have. Because, for one, I don't blame you for adopting that type of opinion. We develop our viewpoints from the environment that we grow up in, right? So if you grew up in an environment with other people who held that opinion, you are going to adopt the opinion. And it's just natural. That's how it works. But what I do blame you for is not being critical about such a hurtful stereotype. Not thinking about it more, asking yourself where it came from, why it's still here, and what function it serves. Because it's such a specific stereotype. So let's talk about it. So the stereotype is that Black women have loose vaginas. There's also another stereotype about Asian women and that they have tight vaginas. It's not a coincidence that these two stereotypes are so directly related and so opposite to one another. And we can speak a lot about what that does, what these stereotypes do to the two racial communities, Black women and Asian women, what it does to each one and how they relate to one another because of these stereotypes. And questions like that, why it's still here, what function it serves, are the type of conversations that we need to have, because we need to name it. First off is naming it. That's like what has to be done. Not once in that apology video did I see anyone reflect specifically on what was said about Black women. They kind of just beat around the bush. And I know it's uncomfortable to revisit what you said, but you have a responsibility to do so because it came out of your mouth and because it's so dehumanizing. And yeah, I think this conversation, apology video they could have gone 1,000 different ways with it, educational ways, but they chose not to. They chose to do under the minimum and just a very quick and easy apology, and then shut the camera off. And I think that's unacceptable, because you have all the tools and resources to research this topic, and it took you 2 weeks to make this apology video. In that 2 weeks, you could have done your research. You could have spoken to Black women, you could have educated yourself, and then come on to make an appropriate video. But you didn't. And that's what I have a problem with.
I have no desire, I have no energy or effort to want to listen to what the fuck UTI has to say. I simply don't give a fuck. I keep getting tagged and sent the video clips of them addressing the backlash and apology, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And I simply don't care. I don't care to watch it. I don't care to listen to what bullshit they have to say, because it's all bullshit to me. All right? I'm also not going to give my time or my energy for their monetary gain. I'm not going to do that. Fuck that. I'm not going to go to their YouTube. I'm not going to go on any other social media platform to listen to what they have to say and for them to make monetary gain off of it. I'm not. This is not something that just happened a day ago or days ago or a week ago. This has been going on for weeks. They had weeks to address this, guys. And they've been posting other shit and not addressing this. And suddenly now we're supposed to care and we're supposed to watch and care what they have to say when they had weeks to address this? No, I don't fucking think so. I'm not listening to any bullshit that you have to say. It's bullshit. If they really cared and they were actually genuinely sorry about the shit that went down and about what they said, they would have made this weeks ago. But they didn't. They let it fester, they let it grow, and I don't care. I don't care to listen to what they have to say. So y'all can be out here posting other content instead of addressing it and talking about how you guys are going to address it in a video, and continue to make content outside of the backlash and start deleting comments and block people who call you out, rightfully so, on your platforms. And now suddenly we have to care what you have to say? Okay. Y'all know how I feel about podcasts. Not everybody deserves a podcast, because nobody wants to hear what the fuck you have to say. And I will continue saying that, because I clearly do not want to listen to whatever the fuck they have to say. And I stand on that. I am standing on business. But anyway, I wish y'all well. And
yeah, I want to take this moment to sincerely apologize for a topic that I brought up. It wasn't my view or opinion.
I don't know, I will always be biased when it comes to apologies coming from influencers or people who have platforms, because I feel like 100% of the time when it comes to apologies, it's always going to be coming off as insincere, not really knowing like what they're apologizing for. And on top of that, it just kind of feels like I end up hating the person 100% again. On top of not mentioning about the whole Drew situation at all, but very dismissing about like the entire situation about the racist comment in general is very weird, because I just wish like when it comes to apologies, they would reiterate and like restate like what they said, and then maybe mention a few things from other creators that like of calling them out basically of why they said was inappropriate, and like they would learn, you know, and educate others, as that's the whole point of a learning process, right? And these apologies just come off so insincere, especially because she's dismissing this issue by bringing up the fact that she's also a person of color. But it's just weird. It's not an excuse. And on top of that, this is why intersectionality is so important, because although like, yes, East Asians also go through some fetishizations and emasculations, it's very different from the experiences of Black people. And I will always stand by this, that in no way, shape, or form are death threats ever appropriate, and she did not deserve any of that. But that entire thing should not be used as an excuse to victimize yourself in this situation when you've hurt so many other people. And just because you state that you're a person of color doesn't mean that you're not racist.
Like, people of color can be racist as well. And this is why we should take it upon ourselves to, you know, be the better person, the bigger person, and educate the people in our communities why these prejudice and stereotypes and racism is not okay. And let's normalize calling out anti-blackness in Asian communities.
It's no motherfucking shade, but that Under the Influence podcast only apologized so they need to start pushing content because they money running dry. Like, they just don't care. They don't care. I'm telling you, they only doing this to push their content out because they running out of money. Don't fall for it, Stan.
The Under the Influence podcast getting all the hate that they're getting right now is well-deserved hate. Not only because of the Drew situation, it's because of past situations too. Specifically, the situation I'm talking about is when Esther said that racist anti-black rhetoric about black women, saying, oh yeah, black women have way larger holes in there than other races of women, and how they all co-signed onto it. Yeah. Y'all getting this hate was hate that was ready to happen. In Suburbs Talk, you ain't getting no grace from me either. Only because I keep seeing people be like, oh, Suburbs Talk did they big one by not posting this week's episode with them on there. Y'all need to stop and actually think. After all the weirdo stuff that they say on the Under the Influence podcast, Suburbs Talk still had the audacity to invite them onto their podcast. That should speak volumes to y'all. That should really speak volumes. The Under the Influence podcast getting all the hate that they're getting right now is well-deserved. So you mean to tell me that y'all made the apology video, was condescending, and had an attitude? This is your typical racism apology video from non-black people. I'm not surprised.
Under the Influence is in the same spot Shits and Giggles was when they made their apology, because that shit was ass. Because while Under the Influence, I could tell they actually tried to take that shit serious, Shits and Giggles, they didn't take that shit serious. But when it came to Shits and Giggles, their shit seemed to actually planned out and they knew what they were going to say and how they wanted to do it. Under the Influence, dead ass seemed like they just weaned the fuck out of that shit. So it's like, whose here is worse? Because you could say, oh yeah, Esther and all of them, they were so scared to say shit, so you knew they were serious. But at the same time, every time someone talked, no one knew what the fuck to say. While when it came to Shits and Giggles, yeah, you can tell they wasn't serious, especially Fuha, because his ass couldn't even look at the fucking camera, yet they actually knew what they wanted to say and was very direct about the shit they were saying. And to me, it's just way more funny because two POC podcasts don't know how to address POC people.
Okay, so I want black women to be clear, that apology wasn't for you at all. That apology was for major white corporations that weren't going to mess with them after the backlash of this. That apology was for the self-proclaimed social justice warriors that are their base that would feel weird about continuing to watch them after what they said. Never was that for black women. An apology that says we just need to watch what we say because of the level that we're at now, they're not sorry. They're sorry that they got caught. They're sorry that people care enough about them. Not me, but they're sorry that enough people care about them that this even became a thing.
You know, I made a video like a year ago talking about the SoCal, like, Asian American podcasts. And now that these people are getting called out and they're getting canceled, yeah, I knew it. You know, low-key being a hater pays off. It does when you think about it. Because I knew these people were already problematic. I've heard, like, some things, speculation, whatever. Like, I knew the time was ticking for them. Someone was gonna say something real batshit crazy, and then the internet is gonna be like, nope, this is the last straw we've had with y'all. And with Under the Influence, I'm not surprised about it at all. Like, just the way a lot of them speak, they speak very lowly educated, if I'm gonna be honest. It's just, and they really set back a lot of Asian Americans, to be very honest, and it's kind of sad, but it's also kind of true. Like, unfortunately, like, this obviously does not represent every single Asian American. It doesn't even represent the SoCal people, because I know there's SoCal Asians that's like, no, that's not me, that's not us, you know, and they already get a bad rep. But I don't know what it is down there in that air or whatever, but a lot of them just don't know when to shut the fuck up. I'm not gonna go into the suburb talks because that's a whole nother can of worms. They're treading on thin ice also, to be honest, but you know what? Do what you will with that information. People are gonna be like, because I've seen so many comments of people like, oh, I knew I could trust them. We'll see about that. We'll see. But if nothing bad happens and they don't get canceled and stuff like that, nobody says anything stupid, then you know what? Y'all can attack me for that. But I was right about these podcasts.
Yeah. You guys, okay, I'm gonna say something kind of wild, but it's because I saw it.
I learned today that that girl, Esther, is not a girl. She's a 30-year-old woman. I saw that she put out a apology video, and it was not taken or perceived well by the public, and rightfully so. Here's my take on it, and it really, really annoys me that I noticed this, and I'm sure somebody else noticed this, was that they rushed the apology so that she can play victim, and then the guy next to her could say like, hey, so you know, you guys, you gotta stop like the hate and, you know, threatening her life. That wasn't an apology for black women for hurting a community, for being racist. That was a plea for safety. If they hadn't gotten so much hate from not just the black women community, right, from the world, oh my god, it's atrocious. Like even from their own community. And if she hadn't had her life threatened, they would have never apologized. They had no intentions of apologizing. That they were just doing it so that people can back off on her.
For me, definitely. I know some people might think that, they just said what they said. They never made anything wrong. But the fact that she apologizes, it's okay that she apologizes. But it's upon the black women to decide whether they'll take the apology. But I know, of course, there is always some people will take the apology, some people won't take the apology, some people will refuse to take, because to them that's a stereotype. Today, if I were a woman and say that, you know, Asian women does that, that totally would make it stereotypic, because there is no evidence tied to that. You can't stereotypically put black women, black men, that, oh, they have A, and that's the reason as to why B is happening to black women. There is no correlation to that biologically, right? Now, I just want to know what you're saying about this, because to me, this is something which is so humiliating, first. It is disrespectful, first. It is something which is so uncouth, first. In as much as they would love to discuss about this topic in an open podcast, where children talk about, children hear this, and I understand there is also another stereotype that, oh, you know, black men have a big A, and so Latinos, other group of people usually want to come and talk, you know, envision this. But I don't believe that this is tied to any racial group. And so for me, in as much as it might be logic that it can't be like that, but I don't believe that that's the truth. Because first, that's so disrespectful to the group of people. On the other side, some people saw to it, like the first podcast that I'm talking about, some people saw to it that, it's okay to talk about this because, I mean, it's no big deal, right? But sometimes you understand that the people who talk maybe negatively about other group of people, they firstly tend to forget. And they become violent with you when you try to remind them. One thing that I'm thankful about this Asian lady is that she came and she noticed that that's a stereotype towards a given group of people, and she apologized. Why? Because in everyone's mouth, including few black people, we always talk lowly about our black women, and it is time for us to talk highly about black women. By saying this doesn't reduce anything about what you say. If we elevate ourselves amongst ourselves, if we show that we love our women, we will teach other group of people to respect our women. It is time for us to learn to respect our women. Reason as to why other group are taking advantage of us is because we are always everywhere blasting our black women. And that's the truth. Of course, I understand we are few, type of people. And again, if I say black women, it is again stereotypic, because a woman is a woman, either Asian, either Indian, either white, either black. A woman is a woman, and they behave universally, regardless of their color. If you got a woman with an attitude, she might be white, she might be black, she might be Asian. So it is time for us to do away with these negative stereotypes towards our women. This itself, it's foiling other group of people to not take us seriously about how we treat our people, because it begins with us, by ourselves, how we view the people who are closest to us. The people who are closest to us are our women. You're a black person. You are born with a black woman. I am born with a black woman. It is time for us to embrace that. It is time for us to show people that, you know what? I understand they might be making some mistakes, but it's not all about that. And by this, we are showing other group of people on how to treat us, because some people just don't get it. And in case anything happens, the people will be first victimized is black women, because by ourselves we are not showing respect, we are not protecting them, we are not showing love. Also, black women, learn to respect a black man. Respect goes both ways, right? So that was my 2 cents in regards to this. For me, I don't think that was so appropriate. That was a stereotype. That by the fact that she pinned it down to a given ethnic group of people, a woman can have any size of anything that she wants, regardless whether his boyfriend is black or white or Asian or anything. I just want to know. Tell me what you think about this in the comment section. These are presented Jintuk Stories, and until then, let's meet on my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.